Welcome over to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host, Vinny Mystery, and we have a big teaser out of Kia. We have a teaser from Kia for the front and the exterior of the new 2025 EV6. This is a really big model. EV6 is really selling quite well for Kia, even though it is being an EV. It's not selling as well as obviously things like the Telluride and things like that, but it is quite a popular seller for them. It is, won a bunch of awards, including Car of the Year. This has also been one of the most popular EVs, even though despite we've been kind of in this EV kind of limbo space in terms of just the popularity and demand of them, but we have, for really big for Kia, we have some new teaser images, so we're gonna go through them. We've got an article from Car and Driver here. They were one of the first to rig the story, so we're gonna go through it here and we're gonna see exactly what we got here. Obviously on this first teaser here, we have the front. We can see here our headlights here. We can see our side mirror here. We can see the steering wheel outlined there. Can't really see much of the seat and all that, as it has been darkened and blacked out. We can see a little bit of kind of body lines and things like that coming here. The new kind of the design for the headlights here. You have that current Kia logo that they're doing there. We don't really see anything underneath here, so we don't know, depending on different trims, is there going to be different bumper trims? Is there going to be any sort of fog lights underneath here? We can't really tell any of that from there, but we also we can really just see the headlight design, not really much of the grille design, but obviously this being the refresh model, we can see how they've changed the headlights, and how they talk about here that little C shape here. We can kind of see that there. I think it looks really nice, really uniform. Definitely it is quite hard to do that on this headlight, especially because when you see with the LEDs, to get it uniform, you do that type of C shape. When you come right here and then right here and then here, obviously you can see those are thicker, and there's it's squared off and edged out a little bit more. So it is quite hard, especially when you're like geometrically doing that to get it lined up perfectly. Especially too when you have an overhang like this, you kind of it's very hard to make it aesthetically look good. Also up here too, we can kind of see between these two LEDs. It may just be because of the picture, but it looks like that's not one piece. Obviously, it's going to be two different. It might be two different strips versus a whole strip. So that's really interesting to see. That's very hard to do, especially when it's angled like that as well. Also, just because in terms of visibility aspect, when things are angled like that, you have to make sure it's pointing the right way for all those safety, for all the safety ratings and things. So that's really nice there. Obviously, we can see here there's a bit of spacing here. If we this is kind of all we can zoom in, but we can sort of see here there's like a circular kind of shaped here. Obviously what these are going to be is like our our DRLs, our daytime running lights. They may also act as fog lights as well if this vehicle is not equipped with them, but we can see there we have our DRLs are right here, and then probably obviously right here would be where your typical low and high beam would be. Usually on some of the Kias I know, and especially some of the Hyundais, they love to do the headlights down here. It has been a little bit problematic for them, especially when it comes to alignment and things. But obviously you can see right here, that is going to be the spacing, where you can see very faintly where those lights are going to be there. So we don't really have much from the front, but we do see that new exterior redesign, that refresh. It looks really nice. We can see here on the mirror here, obviously the mirror is going to have turn signal function, so as you're turning, it'll have that kind of dynamic light. Just another great safety feature. And then obviously too on the mirror here, we can see it kind of the little hump out here. That's going to be for more than likely the camera systems, both if you're looking when you're going to change lanes, but also with this vehicle, if it is featured and equipped with things like automatic lane switching detection, things like that. Those cameras are going to be able to feed the telemetry for not only you, the user, to see if you're turning lanes, but to initiate and operate those lane changes and whatnot. So we do see some of that there. I do like the design of the mirror too. It's a bit of an interesting design, the way it kind of curves in like that C shape that they've got. Again, really cool design. We do also expect this one too to take advantage of the newer battery pack, as they mentioned down here. It's going to be an 84 kilowatt hour battery pack. That's also going to be on the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Obviously, as these are two sister companies, they very much share the platforms between each other. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a great thing, actually, because in theory, it does bring down costs. It also does help bring down production cost, in terms of production issues. It's a little bit more efficient and allows them to make more vehicles more quickly and keep a higher quality control, because essentially both companies and both factories are working on the same vehicle. So the standards should be the same, because essentially there's a little bit different body style. One's got a different badge. So there is a lot of benefits to that across the board. Obviously, cost-wise, we may not be seeing that on the consumer side yet, but in theory, in time, sharing the platforms like that will help bring down not only production costs for the OEMs, but should also bring down the costs for consumers as well. Obviously, we have here, we have the new GT, the GT model that we have. Really cool EV, makes 576 horsepower, very much competing in the space of Model Y performances and things like that. Obviously not really a competitor in terms of when you get to like Model X and Model S, but very much, in the ballpark of Model Y and Model 3 performance. In terms of the new Model 3 performance, we'll have to see when that's out, if they do anything to that, but very much in that ballpark range. So really, really good performing vehicle. Really, really nice. Let's go down here to the rear view, the rear end of this car. As we can see here, it's pretty similar to the current one, honestly. We do have a little bit more angular lighting system in terms of just, it's still very similar, but very, very subtle changes. We can really see like in the body here. If we zoom in, obviously we can see some clear definitive lines. We're able to get a little bit better view on that camera right here on the mirror. You can see how that mirror, is etched out here like this. It's not actually the full mirror, but it's etched out there. We do have some design here on the exterior part of the hood. Looks like on here, just like how we have the Kia logo up here, it's in a more matte color. It looks like we have it on here. It does look a little bit, tough to see. It is a little tough to see in this picture because it is so close to the body color in the dark. It looks like it, from this picture, just the way it is, just because this is the picture they've sent out, it looks like in a way it is stamped on. I don't think it would be stamped on. That would be really cool to see that though, just because most manufacturers, when they do their model names, it's usually just with the little emblems. They usually don't stamp it on. It looks like it kind of is in this picture, but more than likely, because we can see the color here is the same color as the Kia logo up here, more than likely it is just an emblem, and because of the lighting and the way they've taken this picture, it just gives that illusion. But it does look cool though, especially if it was to look stamped on like that. Really, really cool to see. Like I see, we come back to the headlights here, the exterior rear lights here. We have the texture going on here. We have the lights coming all the way across. Obviously, as the trunk is here, this is not going to be one piece essentially, but that's really hard to get that line up there. Really, really good. Squared off nicely right here. We can't see the other side of this vehicle. Obviously, it would look the same. So there's not really much to see on the other side. We can't see anything at the bottom. Obviously, we know there's not going to be any exhaust or anything, but because this is essentially an SUV or crossover, we can't tell of any towing equipment here as it's all blacked out. So we can't see any, trailer pre-wiring. We can't see any hitches or anything. Keep in mind too, obviously on the GT trim, they're not really going to show something like that off, but we can't really tell any of that from under here. Also can't tell, of what the tires are, just because, tires are always a great indication of what the trim is going to be, whether it's going to be an off-road trim, a sportier trim. We can't really tell there just because of the pictures that we've done. We can kind of see when we zoom in here, we do have some little kind of wheel and fender flares here. Really, really nice. It's not really protruding out too much, obviously, is because this is an EV. Aerodynamics in all vehicles, but especially in EVs, are at the utmost importance because that does affect range and things like that, especially on EVs. So we can see, there is a little bit of protrusion out here, which is really, really nice to see that. We can also see, here's some more defined lines. We can see this defined line going across here. There's not really much else. Also, we can see right here too in the bumper, it looks like we can see here how it's kind of flat here, but then right here it there's a little divot in, and we can see this kind of C shape right here, and then there's a definitive line right here. So that might be interesting to see. We have seen many vehicles do things like that and put like a little light right here, so when you brake, not only your brake lights up here would work, but also down here. Also, we see a lot of times too, vehicles and automakers on the bottom here, instead of making this also a brake light as well, they may actually put like a turn signal right here, or some sort of lighting for just when you open the trunk and things like that, some sort of around view lighting. We can't really see any LEDs in there at all, and it looks like from the way it is, it's just like kind of a shape here and a definitive line. It doesn't look like there's an LED, because if there was an LED, it would be like a piece of glass or whatnot. So we should see some sort of reflection, because even though it is quite dark here, there is enough light here to see that there is a definitive line and a definitive crease here. So I'm gonna say there's no lighting on there, as we would see some sort of just reflection from the LED in the glass, but it is possible, or this could be an indication of some sort of trim or something. It's obviously the size of this vehicle. It's not gonna be like a step or something, it's not gonna be like a trunk step, but there is some sort of definitive shape right here, and we can clearly see with the lighting. You can barely see it, but you can see the line in the crease start here, and you can really see it go all the way and end right here if you look at it. So that's really, really interesting to see that. Really, really interesting to see that. As we know, the older EV6 and Ioniq 5 had the 77.4 kilowatt hour pack. The Hyundai has been upgraded to the 84 kilowatt hour pack. Obviously, this EV6 is also going to get that same upgrade as well. Like I said, as these two both share platforms and powertrains, they both will, have the entry-level 58-hour kilowatt battery pack, which should remain. We don't have any other images. There's no official debut or nothing. There's no official pricing or anything like that. This is just a teaser that Kia has, that has been sent out and gained traction. We don't. Like I said, there's no official dates or anything in terms of sales or official, debut, what the pricing is going to be, what kind of trims, any other upgrades we may see on the vehicle. More than likely, though, right now we're already in May. More than likely, if we, when this vehicle does go out on sale, obviously, which it will, we'll more than likely see this towards the end of the year. We might see within the next few months or so the official debut, and then probably around, late into Q4, October, November, I would say is probably when we'd see this vehicle. We may even see it, depending on when they show it off, we may even see it around August, September, or they may open up the order banks then. But in terms of when this vehicle actually does arrive at dealers and whatnot, more than likely we're probably looking at Q4, late Q3 at the earliest. So that's what we have on the new Kia EV6. In terms of the refresh, like I said, I think it looks really nice. I think they did a really good job, especially with the front right here, how it's just a little bit kind of sharper here. I really like that. I do like the exterior also, on the back side looks nice as well. I'm still not really the biggest fan of how this light bar kind of just goes all the way around like that, and just still has that round shape. I like how it's a little bit, changed a little bit, but I'm still not necessarily the biggest fan of the rear brake lights and things like that on this vehicle, but I think the front looks awesome in my opinion. So that's going to be it for our deep dive on the 2025 Kia EV6 teasers with the refreshed angular headlights. Let me know what all of you think in the comments down below. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, and then obviously as we get more information, we'll be back and we'll have more videos on it. So thanks for watching, everyone.